Messy Mondays. Your girl show me. Your girl Marley Mar.
Hey everybody, happy Monday. It is episode number 41.
Messy Mondays.
Happy Monday. Welcome back. How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty fantastic. I cannot complain. I actually went to an event. My good friend of mine, Raquel, she hosted an event called the Art Box in Wynwood, and she is starting something new, which is a space where people can kind of hang out, listen to live music, live band, also look at artwork from local artists here in Miami, all while networking and having some free beer.
Free beer always brings in the people.
Very now, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Like everything is all about beer right now and networking and art.
Yes.
So that's like now, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to her. She had a great turnout. It was a good time. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a second one because it was a good event, and it's called the Art Box, guys. Make sure to check it out.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of art, this weekend I was driving to a Whole Foods, and I noticed right next door to the Whole Foods was a Michael's art place.
Okay.
I went in there and bought myself some canvases and some extra paint and some brushes. And I'm not an actual, and I do like to paint.
Okay.
I am not an artist whatsoever.
Wow. Let me find out. I didn't know this side of you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I even had, literally, in my old apartment, because I couldn't afford to actually buy paintings, even if it's like cheap, like Walmart ones, I didn't like any of them. And then at the same time, I didn't want to buy it because I didn't like it. So I would buy some canvases and have some paint and then just paint it something myself. Like a gold square and like extra stuff. Like I would just paint it myself and hang it up. And so our friend Jasmine out of Florida, and if you're looking for an artist, look up Jasmine
129, I think.
129 on Instagram. She's a bomb ass artist, and her paintings came in for me that I've ordered from her, and I love them.
Yes, they were so nice. I definitely saw that you posted it.
Yeah, and I absolutely love them. And then I like the feeling, like the textural feeling of the brush, the canvas, doing something, but I'm not an artist whatsoever. So I bought myself some stuff at the Michael's that just opened and just messing around.
That's pretty
cool. And I'm
cool.
pretending to be an artist.
You must post when you're done, the before and after, the blank canvas. Yes, you have to. You just said it on the podcast. Like you have to do the blank canvas and then like the after. You have to.
Absolutely not. Not happening. That's not happening, people.
Jasmine actually came with me last night to the event.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
she was my date, so it was a great night. And she's actually, I looked up her IG because she's an acrylic artist, guys, and we both love her very much. And if you guys support her, it would mean a lot to both of us.
Yes.
It's Jasmine JASMIN.129. on Instagram, and check out her work. She's pretty cool. She has a lot of really dope stuff.
She has a lot of dope stuff, and then there's just everything that she does, and she's grown so much in her art since she's continually doing it.
Agreed.
So I love that, and you should support people in their artwork. Mm-hmm. Like support people in their passions and things like that. So
Especially when it's something positive.
Yeah, and like and something that like I don't want to say achievable, but like it's not far in the distance. It's something of a skill set. Right? Like it's a skill, you have this skill and ability to do something. So I'm supporting you in that because that's just going to extend your skills.
Right.
And continue your growth.
And she's actually, I think, working on a mural right now for like a hair salon. And if anyone wants to has a business or a space, especially out here in Miami, I'm sure that there's a lot of people opening up stuff. And, it's part of the trend of being an entrepreneur. She does like custom portraits on walls as well, if you guys are interested in doing that. Pretty cool.
Awesome. Love it. Shout outs to Jasmine. I haven't been home in a while, so I can't wait to see her soon when I get out there.
Yeah.
But definitely support your local friends and local artists, and I love that. So Artbox sounds amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Definitely, for sure. Well, last week was a great episode.
Episode 40.
Episode 40, we had Sydney on the show, who is a fashion student, fashion blogger out of Denver, correct?
Denver, Colorado. I think also Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, Colorado. Ooh, all of that sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
The word Boulder, Colorado just sounds like a really beautiful place. Like I just envision
American.
It's you just envision flannel or something.
Yes. And beer and beards. You know what I'm
And
saying?
ooh, some good beards. You ever seen a guy who you'd be like, don't shave your face
Oh my
whatsoever?
God. And when they shave it, you're like, why did you shave?
I have a coworker and I looked at him, I said, you don't look the same. Like I can't find you in public because you don't look who you are because you shaved your face.
Yes, and it's
And he
not
was
a
like,
good move.
yeah, and he's like, I was just growing it for a part, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, keep the part because I loved your face with the beard.
Yeah.
And one coworker guy was like, I don't even remember what my face looks like without the beard. So
Right.
I'm gonna keep this.
But it's like a Scott Disick. Tell me Scott Disick did not become way better looking once he let his beard grow. It's like,
That is a
whoa.
fact.
There's
That
some
is,
people that they just helps their face so much.
it does. It extends their face. It makes everything just more. There's something about it gives a little bit more detail or like more of a structure to a man's face. Like
Right.
James Harden. Have you seen what James Harden looks like without the beard?
No.
That's a no-go.
How long ago
Don't
was that
Google
that he
it.
didn't have a beard?
I don't know, but don't Google it because it'll like freak you out a little bit.
Because what makes men attractive is the chisel on their chin and like their
Yes.
jawlines is what makes men attractive. That's what makes a masculine male look more masculine. So when a man doesn't have a strong jaw, the beard gives that illusion. So for those of you who are struggling, grow your beard. You're going to look more masculine.
Yeah, definitely grow the beard and keep it trimmed. Make sure nothing falls into there.
Condition it.
Yes. Like untangle, condition.
Condition it.
Trim. Just slight trims. Make it
Yes,
nice.
yes.
Like, take care. Self-care, people.
Yes.
Self-care. And that includes men. And do facials.
Yes.
Scrubs into the skin. Because that's what happens to men, too. They don't know what that skin looks like underneath that beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they've had it for so long. So, where were we prior to that? Oh, Boulder, Colorado.
Well, that was our segment of beard.
Beard health. I wish we had an ad to fill in with there
I know.
about some sort of product for men to take care of. If you're looking for a sponsor, let us know. We can help it out. But Boulder, Colorado, and Sydney, we appreciate her for being on the show. We're excited, again, people with skill sets and talents and things like that. So definitely happy to continue to support her in her journey of it. She was awesome to have on the show.
Absolutely.
Very sweet girl.
Very, oh my God, so sweet. Super sweet. And I know that we also chimed in on the Nicki Minaj clackback season with a person who is not even another rapper. She basically was bullying a person with their own opinion on Twitter. And I know that we have something really interesting to chime in. We were just talking, and I can't wait until you share with everybody what happened.
Yeah, so as you guys know, I usually post when a new episode is up and, you know, things like that. And we definitely had an artwork for Sydney, and we had artwork for the Nicki Minaj post as well. And I tagged Juana, which is the girl who was on Twitter and had the criticism about Nicki Minaj and just kind of saying,
The
like,
victim.
like, you know, she just pretty much said, imagine if just Nicki's content was just mature content as a woman kind of aspect, which we all agreed upon. And so she definitely reached out via Instagram to me and said, thank you so much. I'm excited to listen. And she's going to dive in deep into the episode. But it felt great that she appreciated us appreciating her and her comments and things like that and really having her back for it. So
And that's
shout out to
one more
Juana.
listen. Thank you for one more
Yes.
stream. That's awesome.
One more stream to
Yeah.
go. So shout outs to her. And then it's just funny that week just continued to be the week of Nicki Minaj in some way.
I know, you're right.
Because people were talking about that new song that came out with the rainbow headed boy.
It's a good song, Marley. I'm sorry. It is.
I'm not mad at the like. It's okay of a song. Like it's not the fire.
I mean,
he
it's
himself
not,
was
it's
said.
not
What are the words I'm
Tupac.
saying?
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, it's entertainment. It's summer music. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
It's just okay. I don't. He recently had an interview with Nicki Minaj with Angie Martinez, and he was himself saying that it was just like I don't even say words, and it's true in the song he doesn't say words, but it's a
like,
bop.
It's like
it gets good.
alphabet music. It's like children's nursery rhymes type of rap flow style. It is.
It is. It has. It's whatever. So the internet, of course, went into its rage because a lot of people don't like 6ix9ine because he does have allegations against him. Or I think he was acquitted from this anyways, but he was like 18 at the time. The girl he was in a video with and doing stuff with, whatever, he thought was 17 herself, 17 or 18 herself, and come to find out she actually lied to him and was 13, or something along those lines. So people
Big
found it really
difference.
awkward that Nicki Minaj's brother has his own allegations against him, and then you don't really think about the person you're working with their
Yeah.
own thing. And I think that's kind of hard to kind of like put together in a
That's
sense.
not
Like it's a little
Nikki's.
bit,
That's not Nikki's responsibility, though.
like that's a lot to put on someone.
Yeah.
So regardless of that, Forbes magazine, some gentleman out there who is a contributor to Forbes magazine, wrote an article and said Nicki Minaj's Queen rollout reeks of desperation and hypocrisy.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure to go on our Messy Mondays timeline on Twitter. You're going to see the article there, too, if you guys haven't read it.
Read that article. I mean, it's one person's perspective. That was a little bit more harsher. And
Yeah.
when does Forbes write music articles? I don't know.
I know.
But he's a contributor and they accepted it and put it in. So it's just interesting. And really, truly, I just hope her rollout doesn't reek of desperation and hypocrisy. I really hope that she's took it back to kind of bring it back newer and better, as we hope she will.
Yeah, ultimately, we don't want you to fail, Nikki, regardless of what you think. We don't want you to fail. We want you to try to continue to win. You know what I'm saying? That's just another female doing her thing. So why wouldn't we want you to win? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we want her at her best.
Yeah.
We just want her best to meet maturity.
True. And shout out to Wanda for taking the bullets. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty
Took
sure
one for the team.
a lot of people feel the same way.
Yes. And then now in the news also, and then this will take us within our special guest we have later in this episode about drug use. And the headlines were pretty big, and I'm sure no one missed this, where Demi Lovato was recently hospitalized for a drug overdose.
Yeah. And the thing is with Demi Lovato is like she's one of the child stars, right?
Yes.
That has been able to stay relevant after her Disney days and all of that. And we all have to come to terms with the fact that these kids that are Disney kids are messed up. Like, what is going on? It's to the point that I can understand why people may not want their children to get into the industry. Yeah. Like, this is crazy. Like Lindsay Lohan. What's the other girl's name? The one they used to play Amanda.
Amanda. I was gonna say Amanda Seals. It's not her. It's not Amanda Bates.
I don't know her. I forget her name. I cannot believe it. That she used to play. She was on Nickelodeon. She
From
was
all
on
that.
All that. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's Amanda Bynes.
Amanda Bynes. There you go. She went batshit crazy too.
Britney
Spears, Justin Bieber, like a lot of these kid stars go through a lot, like, and they end up doing a lot of drugs and they're like all messed up. I'm not sure even Michael Jackson, like if we go all the way back, it's like really an unhealthy way for children to be raised. And when watching Demi Lovato, come out of her drug addiction and being the spokesperson for a person that's sober, and then all of a sudden be in the headlines again for almost dying from an overdose, it's really alarming that these child stars end up in this path.
It is. And if you guys haven't seen, Demi Lovato has a documentary on YouTube that came out maybe last year, the year before.
No, it was last year. Yeah.
And it was amazing. It really dived deep, and I've told people to watch it. That one and the Lady Gaga documentary. I've told people to watch it because you really put yourself in their place. Like, they're really just people. They're kind of humanized in a sense, but also you just kind of don't understand how she got into that place.
Well, I mean, she does suffer from bipolar disorder. And because she suffers from bipolar disorder, and I have personal experience with people who have this disease, they try to self-medicate a lot. So part of it is self-medication because they're having a hard time coping with the side effects of their disease. Now, aside from that, she also had a lot of depression as a child. I mean, guys, watch the documentary. All this information is on it. She had a lot of
Yeah.
depression as a child. Her father was an addict. And she had a lot of body image issues. So this was all combined. Like she was a person who needed to talk to somebody. Like she just had that unfortunate situation in her personal emotional life. Even though she was super talented, she had problems with her emotions. And she had a lot of self hate and imagery issues, and she even admitted that she used to be a manipulator to get her way, and she
Yes.
always found ways to continue getting high, and she would be high on American Idol, and she would be high on tour, and she would, this.
And drunk also. She was alcohol also a lot
Yeah,
too.
so it's like she started in Barney and ended up being like a really dark person when she became like an older teenager. Like it's really kind of eye-opening. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? To like
Yeah.
to see someone on TV and not really know what's going on behind the scenes, because that's not what you thought when you would see her on TV ever.
Not at all. I don't think she ever displayed that where you would be like, damn, that girl's high on stage. Like you've seen artists would be like, you're a little not on, you're on
Yeah.
something, or you forgot to take something. You've seen those moments happen,
Yeah.
occur, right?
Yeah.
We've watched it before, like when Mariah Carey, that one moment that she had on TRL, and everyone was like,
Train wreck.
what's happening? We're watching this all live together.
Or even
And
Joel
seeing this.
Santana. Did you see him being interviewed on MTV? And like
No.
he couldn't even speak. He was slurring his words, and it looked like he was missing teeth. It looked like he had like meth addict teeth.
Wow.
Yeah, so sad.
I've never seen that before. I have to see that.
Yeah. So it's like you're right. There's a point. There's you can tell sometimes. Or like when Bobby Brown was coked up, like you could tell.
Yeah.
Like his mouth was all twisted. It's like, yo, this dude is coked up.
And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that she's going through that, and it's unfortunate for anyone who goes through that, because another conversation that arises throughout the Twitter streets is kind of like how the media kind of portrays one person over the other. You say Lamar Odom overdose and blah blah blah, and then everyone's like, oh, he's a crackhead, he's a blah blah blah, this and this. You say Demi Lovato overdose and blah blah blah,
Poor girl.
and it's like, pray for the girl,
Yeah.
hope she's okay, prayers like that. And so that's another area and another subject, but we need to consider everyone in their spaces that they're in and how they're fighting this, and that this is a mental illness and a disease that people are trying to fight, all these layers.
Right.
So,
and it's like she was so convinced that she had taken control. Like
Yeah.
that's what's the most fascinating to me. Like I would remember watching this documentary and seeing how convinced this girl was. It wasn't that she was convincing us. She was convinced herself that she has gotten control over this. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's so sad to see that you could be that confident in something and you could throw that shit all away just for one high. And
Yeah.
then once you have that one high, it's over. Like I find that to be such a scary thing, man, because like she's a millionaire, she's successful, she's beautiful, and she's willing to throw all of that away just for a high. Like she wrote that song, and in the song she's saying that she's no longer sober and she apologizes for that. She kind of just is like a diary. Like she's telling her fans, like, guys, I failed. And this was like a month prior to her having this overdose. She's performed, like I want to say about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and she forgot her lyrics on stage. It's like,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? So she was
You're
already
watching
showing,
the train wreck kind of happen.
Exactly. And then they find her passed out cold in her home. Like that could have gone a completely other way. And
Yeah.
it's like, I think to myself, the reason that her and Wilmer Valderrama, by the way, guys, from that 70s show, is the reason that they broke up. Is it because he got away from a person that was toxic, or is it because like she claims, oh, she needed to become a woman on her own? Like I don't know now. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. So he was like, he might have been, well, she needs to, and they're very far in age too.
Yeah, he's a lot older than she is.
He's a lot older than she is, right?
Yeah.
Because she's like maybe 26, I want to say.
Yeah, she's like 26, and he's definitely like mid 30s, late 30s, I think.
Yeah.
I think so,
He's
yeah.
a little bit older. And so,
Still hot,
you're
though.
right. Yeah, gorgeous man. Is he Colombian, Venezuelan?
I don't know. He one of them. He one of them,
he's-
though.
Oh,
He got that look. He one of
Yes.
them. Yeah.
yes. I think he's Venezuelan. But anyways, yeah, he could have probably realized that he probably said to her, she needs to learn how to become a woman herself.
Right.
Kind of grow into this, because when you're in a relationship that was that long and that far in age, that's a little bit difficult. And you could tell she really loved him the way she talked about it in the documentary.
Yeah.
But it's nice that he probably knew that he needed to let her go,
Possibly.
because of all the things that she's going through.
And he's the one in the hospital with her now.
He's there with her now. They did say, they reported originally heroin was the possible use, and then they backtracked that, or they corrected that, from my understanding. It wasn't heroin, and that it could be possibly meth.
Yeah.
Which is like super, like both of those are heavy, or anything is heavy.
Both of them
let's not joke ourselves. They're heavy drugs. This is not weed smoking. I thought the girl, when I watched the documentary,
like or something, you know what I'm saying?
I
or like
thought
some shit everybody
literally
does.
When I watched the documentary, I thought she was just smoking weed. I thought we was talking about weed the entire time.
You're joking.
Until she
Marley.
said I was popping pills, and I think she mentioned cocaine. I said, what? I literally screamed at the screen.
Marley, no one does documentaries about having an issue with marijuana. I don't know if you, I'm going to just confess to you right now, no one will ever do that. Like, no.
I am telling you 100%. I screamed at the computer, and I text my sister and my sister and my cousins. I said, did y'all know this heifer was on this heavy ass shit? I thought we was just playing games with weed.
No, of course
not. And a little
not.
bit of drinking. No, she was drinking, popping pills.
Yeah, no, she was doing
on
a
rapper
lot of
status.
stuff. She was doing a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Like super heavy stuff. So, needless to say, you guys should watch the documentary. It's really well done. And then that's why this wasn't too much of a shock for me. It hurt. Like, not hurt. Like, you felt for her. Because you watch the documentary, and then you're like, oh, she's doing good, but whatever. You don't hear anything of it. And then overdose. It's kind of like, damn.
It's sad.
Like that.
It's really sad. You heard that Kelly Rowland did the same tattoo that she has.
Yeah, she got a henna tattoo on it. Yeah,
the same tattoo that Demi Lovato has, which is like a lion, I believe. And she did it in honor of Demi Lovato. And I love that you mentioned that. It's crazy how we're like embracing this person that's a drug user. But when Lamar Odom was in a freaking whorehouse with a bunch of prostitutes and OD'd, and like Chloe had to go rescue him, we threw him to the wolves.
to the wolves.
Yeah.
To the wolves. And I mean, we our own bias, right? Because I think we talked about it on the podcast. You know what I mean? And it's just, I think we have this, I guess Lamar Odom has always been on that, and we've seen him through the struggles, but he's never admitted it. And I think that's probably the difference, where he was hiding it, playing around with it, but we knew it.
I think there's other factors too.
What do you think some other factors are?
I think the factors are because, number one, he is a black man, and Demi Lovato is a beautiful light-skinned Latina. I'm
passing as white.
Right, passing as white, and she's embracing the white world, and we're gonna call a spade a spade.
And you know what I'm saying? And pop star kind of a status.
That's one. Number two, the agenda to make Chloe look like the victim based on the Kardashian production is part of it too. Because you know that, I'm not saying that she was not the victim, but what I'm saying is that they create storylines because they're reality stars. So we had to see Chloe struggle because Chloe's struggle was a good storyline. So we also have a perception of that relationship based on what storyline they've created for us to see. So those factors, on top of the fact that he was cheating on his wife, on top of the fact that he was disrespectful with it publicly, is not going to allow you to feel bad for him.
Yeah.
We're not going to look at it like Lamar Odom is a person with a disease. We're going to look at it like he's a glutton that just wants to enjoy himself and doesn't care about anybody else. So the way the story was presented in both ends really changes the narrative. And that's the truth, in my opinion. At the end of the day, they're both addicts. And we're going to learn with our guests that's about to join our conversation that there's different situations, but at the end of the day, they're all addicts.
And everyone needs help. And everyone deserves the same amount of help, the same amount of attention.
Yeah.
And assisting them to get through it. So coming up, we're going to call our guest in a few minutes. and talk to Rich, correct?
Yes, guys, we're going to have a great guest. His name is Rich. He used to be a counselor and tech at the Watershed Drug and Alcohol Addiction Treatment Center in Lake Worth, Florida. He's going to share some of his personal experiences and some of his knowledge. And we're pretty excited to have a person with his level of expertise on the show. Hello, Rich.
Hey, what's up, Diana?
Hey, how are you? It's me and Marley, and we're so happy that you joined us. So thank you so much for joining our conversation. I know we definitely want to expand and talk about drug abuse problems and the epidemic of it because we know how big of a problem it is here in the United States. And I thought it would be really interesting to hear from your personal experiences in working in that kind of environment and maybe giving us some knowledge on some of the things that you've witnessed and experienced.
All right, cool. I got it. All right, so basically, I started out as a youth counselor. As a social worker for a lot of years. So I used to do life skill workshops with the kids, and part of those workshops, part of that curriculum was always substance abuse prevention. So I had a little bit of knowledge about drugs and alcohol and addiction, but you know what I'm saying? It was like when I started working, with adults at a drug and alcohol treatment center that I got to really understand the disease of addiction. You know what I mean? So, I spent there maybe about a year and a half to 2 years working in a drug and alcohol addiction treatment center in Lake Worth, and most of my experience and firsthand, working with some people that were going through some things is really where that comes from. But growing up, we all came through that crack epidemic. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
If you came through that crack epidemic, then there was a crackhead in your family. You know what I mean? So when you say where your personal experiences come from, they come from a lot of different places. You feel me?
Yeah, but let's start with this. I know a lot of people usually judge people with drug abuse problems. When people use the word disease, it's like people just started to embrace that it's a disease. Is it really something that a person's suffering from, or is it because they chose to start doing drugs?
Yeah, you gotta really embrace it like it's a disease, because that's really what it is. Listen. First of all, people use the term addiction kind of loosely, and that's just in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And, sometimes people think, just because when they hang out a lot, they're addicted to alcohol, or when they smoke a lot of weed, they're addicted to marijuana. You gotta really understand what addiction really is. And it took for me to sit down in a meeting one day and listen to somebody who really broke it down. You know what I mean? And when they broke it down, it made so much sense to me. You know what I mean? Because the way they break it down is you do something that starts out as fun. You know what I mean? You want to try something and it's fun, and you get into it like that. You know what I mean? And then that's fun. Then that quickly can turn into a habit. You know what I mean? And then when that habit now turns into something called an obsession, it's that's where the problem is. And when that obsession turns into a way of life, where when you wake up every morning, that's all you think about is where you get that next high from. That's active addiction, and that's when you're an addict. And that's a disease. That's something that there is no cure for. Once you're an addict, you'll be an addict for the rest of your natural-born life. So that's why it's categorized as a disease, really.
Wow. So what you're saying is that after you've been diagnosed as an addict, you just have to learn how to maintain your addiction?
It's treatment. And treatment comes in a lot of different options, you know what I mean? Most drug treatment programs, you know what I mean, are going to tell you that, you know what I'm saying, they follow what's called a 12-step program. You know what I mean? And the thing about 12-step programs is it's faith-based. So you kind of have to embrace the fact that the only way you're going to be able to get over your addiction, or the only way you're going to be able to, to be in recovery, is unless you embrace the fact that there's a higher power that's going to help you through this. You know what I mean? And that could be a problem for a lot of people, but for the most part, that really is the treatment. They try to encourage you to get a sponsor. They encourage you to keep going to meetings. You know what I mean? But as far as like treatment, that's basically what you got to do for the rest of your life.
So in the meetings, when people go to these meetings, I don't know, like, I mean, I've never been to a meeting where people who have substance abuse problems just sit there and talk about it, but I've seen it on TV and you see it in movies, so we all kind of have an idea. But sometimes
Yeah.
I've always wondered, is like, it seems like a depressing environment to just hear problems. Like, how does that help when you hear people talk about how hard it is to deal with it?
Well, it's not. It really isn't. What it is you're going to hear a lot of testimonials, and you're going to think that your problem or your issue might be unique to you, and then when you hear somebody else echo, some of the same or similar things that you're going through, it's like, wow, really? I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only one that did this or done that. But somebody else has gone through the same things and probably has done things 10 times worse than what you have done, to deal with their problem or their addiction. You know what I'm saying? So those meetings really serve a really good purpose. It's just really just listening to testimonials and seeing if you can learn from somebody else's situation, and at the end of the day, when I used to work with those kids, what I used to do is take them to meetings, because my whole thing is about prevention, we all know that those programs are really intervention programs, so you're really sitting there listening to people who, they already become addicts, or they already, did what they did. But, if you can sit down and have some kids hear what's going on if they decide to go that road, it kind of helps them a little bit more. So, that's the purpose really of those meetings, really.
I believe that I can find it easier to talk to people when it comes to those problems or any problem that you may have. So I think that's how those AA meetings become pretty much beneficial for a person, because talking to a stranger is much more easier than talking to a family member who's more judgmental and those kind of things. So I want to know, in these 12-step programs, what happens after, or how do you continue it after it, or there's more to it after it, correct? Like, you're just not up and left to be on your own.
Oh yeah. It's a holistic kind of approach. You know what I mean? Going to meetings is just one part of it. You really gotta follow those steps. And if you Google 12-step philosophy and Google 12-step programs, you'll see that step one is really you coming to grips with your addiction and admitting that you have a problem. Step two being embracing that there's a higher power that's going to, help you through this, and so on and so forth. And then, like I said, since it's something that you're going to be, having to deal with for the rest of your life, you may need to have someone that they consider a sponsor. You know what I'm saying? It's that friend who, when you get that urge or when you're going through something and you have this like you think that the only way that you're going to be able to cope with what you're going through is by getting high, you can call that person and that person can talk to you and talk you through what you're going through. So, those are really that holistic approach to treatment that you got to really, be a part of. So, the opening up really, it helps other people. You know what I mean? Because, you're sharing your story, you're sharing your testimony, about what you're going through, and it's going to touch somebody, and somebody is going to be sitting there, you know what I mean, like feeling like, wow, you know what? I really thought that I was the only one who felt like this, or the only one going through this. And to hear you and hear your story, you know what I'm saying, it's going to uplift them and motivate them. So that's really what those meetings really, you know what I mean, they provide.
And I wonder, how difficult is it for someone who already has an addictive behavior, right? Like, I've never met a person who already, just the personality is something of an addictive behavior, right? Like, if they do something, or kind of already has certain behaviors or personality traits that makes them unique in the sense of they'll get addicted to something, addicted to something simple, whether it's having to go to the gym every day or having to do an X, whatever, something every day, as well as having maybe OCD and things like that, or certain variations. How does that impact their sobriety as well, in a general aspect? If they begin drug abuse or drug using, and then they're also an addictive behavior. How hard is it for them to kind of remove themselves from
it's very hard. You know, I think, in my opinion, I think addictive people are attracted to addictive people.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's just in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know? But I think also, you know, one of the things that they encourage you to do is to stay away from people, places, and things that, you know what I mean, that kind of remind you of your addiction, or kind of like, you know, those are negative
Like
things
triggers?
that, yeah, exactly. You know, if you know that, you know, these are people who still get high, or these are people who used to get high with, you got to stay away from them. You know, if you know that, you know, if you go to a bar, chances are I'm gonna, you know, want to drink. If I go to a club, I'm gonna want to drink. You got to stay away from clubs. You know, if you know that, you know, I have a problem when I go into a casino, I'm gonna want to gamble. You got to stay away from casinos. You know.
But what about
The-
what about those people
Go ahead.
who don't know how to cope? You know what I mean? Like most of the time from what I've observed is that it's a coping mechanism to fall to the drugs or to the alcohol or to the reckless behavior, let's say. And that's their coping
Yeah.
mechanisms. And sometimes you can't avoid that you don't know how to handle bad news or you don't know how to handle tragedy. And then people seek that as a form of therapy. Like I'm not saying that I think that it is the solution, but I can understand and I can be compassionate to a person that says this is the only way I know how to cope. You know what I mean? So like, how
I know,
how
I
does
know
a person?
exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
Well, you know, it's like, listen, you know, sometimes when you're a teenager, I'm just, you know, just trying to draw the parallel here, you know, and you have conflict or you have a problem with somebody, and the only way you know how to cope or deal with issues is by fighting. You know what I'm saying? It's going to turn into something physical. You know, what you got to do is you got to encourage those young people, you know what I mean, to figure out ways how you can, you know, constructively use that anger and frustration and figure out that, you know what I mean, you got to resolve this peacefully. Because if you decide that you're going to have a fist fight with somebody, chances are somebody's going to get hurt or somebody's going to go to jail. You know what I mean? So on the other flip side of the coin, you know what I mean, it's like when someone's telling you that, you know, hey, listen, the only way I know how to deal with issues and what I'm going through is by drugs or alcohol. You know, you're going to have to just keep encouraging them that it has to be another way. Because if you continue going down that road, you're either going to die or you're going to end up in jail. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to end up in some kind of institution for the rest of your life. And those, if that's your choice, that's your choice. But understand that, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, when you decide that, you know, that's the way you want to live your life, then those are the three routes that you're going to, you know, have to take.
right. Is there a pattern that you've noticed with people who start doing things like that? Is there like a pattern, or is it all just randomness?
Pattern, I don't know about a pattern. You know, sometimes they want to, you know, label marijuana as like a gateway drug. And it's not. A lot of addicts didn't start out by just using marijuana. You know what I mean? It can just be, you know, listen, you know, I was in a car accident. The doctor prescribed me, you know, some painkillers, and from there it just took off. You know what I mean? So I don't know about a pattern. It can be just any different reason that people have or use to just kind of justify, you know what I'm saying, what brought them to where they are. So that's just, you know, what I kind of think.
So when it comes to facility or rehab facilities, and I know that in the West Palm area, because we're all Floridians, we know there's a large population or a lot of facilities within that area. And we know it's kind of like the central place to go between California and West Palm and I think Colorado, I think, has like the most number of facilities for rehabilitation and variations and halfway houses and homes like that. My question is, what is the difference between like those high-end, like very costly rehab facilities, and then those who, just general folks, everyday life folks who do have an addiction problem, that can't afford those big places? Like, where did they go? Where did they?
Well, obviously, the high end ones, you know what I mean, are the ones that most people have insurance. You know what I'm saying? Most of the people that are in those high end treatment programs have insurance that's paying for it. Because you'd be surprised that, they consider that a sickness, they consider that as a disease, and much like, what I'm saying, if you were being treated for any kind of like physical ailment, you know what I mean, and your insurance coverage, your insurance package would cover it, they actually cover that.
I didn't know that. That's really good to know.
Yeah, so, it's like, obviously if you're in the high-end ones, you're going to get the best treatment, you know what I'm saying? You're going to get those top-notch counselors and, whatever, psychiatrists or whatever that's going to, help you get through, those counselors that help you get through and walk you through, you know what I'm saying, what you're going through. Because the problem is most of that problem that they have is deeply rooted, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you got to talk to somebody that's going to, find the root of that problem and, help you, deal with some of those things that you suppressed. And because of you suppressed this and you never dealt with it, you know what I mean? And it led to what it led to, now you got to really deal with it as an adult. But, that's what it is, though. They tell you, though, that, you know what I'm saying, that the day that you became, an active addict is the day you stop growing mentally. So let's just say if you started doing drugs at 16 and you became an addict at 16, that chronologically you might be 20 or 30 or 40 years old, but mentally you're still 16.
Wow. Okay.
I can see that. Yeah.
So, I mean,
I can see how that can happen.
what is the worst drug that you've seen addictions on from all of them?
Well, the worst drug. Oh my goodness. I would say, meth and crack.
Wow.
We see the crack epidemic, about the crack epidemic and know how that has ruined a lot of lives, not just for that addict, but, you know what I mean, for everybody else around them.
Yeah,
I'll share
the
a personal
family.
story. Like I know when my uncle was addicted to crack, in the 90s, my aunt, who lived in Queens, her husband passed away, and my cousins were maybe 4 or 5 years old when their dad passed away, so they never really got to know him, you know what I mean? And all she had left to kind of remember her husband was this freaking wedding band, you know what I'm saying? And when my uncle fucking stole her wedding band and fucking pawned it for crack, I was like, yo, that's just, your
Wow.
own sister. It was just crazy. I just think about things that, people who are addicted to crack do and have done and not care about who they hurt. You know what I mean? It's like, when you ask what's the worst drug, I don't know. I would say people who are addicted to crack cocaine, and I would say that meth and that heroin, when they start shooting up, yeah, that's some other level kind of, I'm scared of needles, so I can't even see how someone just,
Right.
Sticking needles, finding veins and sticking needles all over their, body.
Everywhere. Yeah.
That's just crazy to me. Yeah.
And I mean, people say you can't trust an addict. And it's like, even if they're your own child, you just can't trust an addict. They say that.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, some people, it's like, you sit there and, you're like, listen, if not for you and for your 3-year-old daughter that's at home right now being raised by her grandmother, you know what I mean? It's like nothing. It's like it doesn't matter to them. Like the only thing that they care about is getting high. So it's a real crazy epidemic and really crazy situation when you really think about it. But they will do anything to get high. Anything. Doesn't matter who they hurt. Doesn't matter, who's in their life. The drug trumps everything, pretty much.
I is better than anything else for them.
Yep.
They're like emotionally attached from anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, have
And
you...
for those who can't afford those large facilities or expensive facilities, and those who don't have insurance, there's a lot of nonprofits or other opportunities that they can go to, right?
Well, you gotta understand, even in those high-end facilities, you know what I'm saying, not everybody is there to get sober. Not everybody is there focused on their recovery. There's people still getting high in these facilities, So, whereas high-end facilities, the access and everything else, when you're still trying to get high, is still there. You can just imagine in the low-end ones, it's probably easier. You probably have people in there selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
it's because the low-end ones, they have programs where they have people from off the streets who probably got court mandated to go there for their treatment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, it's just a different kind of situation.
Now, can you possibly maybe share with us an example of a story that you may have seen, how bad a behavior can get from an addict? Like, have you seen something? I know that you told us about your family, but like when you were working as a counselor, was there ever a moment that you're like, wow, like you still don't feel like you should stop doing drugs? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever experienced a moment within yourself that you were like, I can't believe you're still doing drugs?
I mean, I've seen some guys freeze cologne, mouthwash, also so they could drink it.
Wow.
I've seen some crazy stuff. I've seen some crazy stuff. When that what do you call it? That spice? Remember when that spice epidemic was going through? That synthetic marijuana. Remember that?
Yeah, like K2.
They couldn't get, so they couldn't get high because they know that if they got high, that we would drug test them because they can go out for a few and then come back. So if we suspect that they were out there getting high, we would drug test them, and they would go out there, they would smoke that spice, they'll bring it back, smoke it in apples and cans and all kind of things. Some of the things I've seen, I'm like, how do you come up with this stuff? Like, who thinks of this?
Yeah, like addicts are super creative, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. You were crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
So, I mean, being that a lot of people, well, I live in Miami, and cocaine is very popular here. And people think that cocaine is okay because they don't get, quote unquote, addicted to it. They can start and stop and do it casually and do it on the weekends. And I think that that's a misconception of the reality of cocaine.
Well, they consider cocaine that party drug. It's like, all right, most people smoke weed to get high. Okay, when you level up, you can, sniff a little coke now because, it's a level up for marijuana. And it almost always to something else, Me personally, at the end of the day, I've smoked weed before, but as far as like trying to experiment or trying to, never, you know what I mean? So I can't really tell you that, like what I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that's a tough one for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, what about this whole epidemic with now people doing a lot of pills and people finding ways to balance the pills? Like they'll take a Molly and then they'll smoke a little weed to kind of calm down. And then they might do a line of coke to wake up. And then after that, they'll take like another pill. Like it's like a whole night of just balancing. And I've noticed that, especially with the younger generation, they feel like they figured it all out and they know how to kind of keep themselves leveled.
Yeah.
How do you not fear that your heart's gonna stop at one point? Like.
Well, some drugs are uppers, some drugs are downers, and then some people are mixing uppers with downers, or downers with uppers. A lot of the music and a lot of TV and a lot of things that these kids are seeing around them is what kind of encourages them to do this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, trying to fit in or trying to keep up with the Joneses or whatever. But, as far as like trying to find balance and all that, like I couldn't even tell you left or right with that situation. It's like, the only thing I can probably do, probably say is just, like I've been saying, is just kind of just like, encourage you to just find a different, way to go have fun, like I said. You know what I mean? If having fun to you is just always getting high, you got to figure out some different ways to have fun.
Now,
that stuff is just crazy to me.
I do find it interesting that the pill epidemic that's happening now, because I live in Seattle, and here it's a big thing with opioids, and those are drugs that in most cases that you would probably prescribe at first. So how is that? Yeah. And I know that that's a huge impact. Is that lately, excuse me, there's been a huge impact by doctors were kind of pushed to give these drugs away, to meet a certain quota and certain things like that, or have signed up to be a part of this pharmacy company and what they're developing and those kind of things. And then they start pushing these drugs to people who may not have needed it for an X amount of time. I know for myself, like, I got my wisdom teeth pulled out, and you get, like, a 60 count of whatever painkiller, and you're just like, that is insane.
Right, and you only need like 10.
I didn't even make it. I made it through the weekend with like 2.
Right.
Like, it wasn't major. And so, do you see a lot of that coming through? Like, where people just started like on a basic end of like, I just need to get my back.
That's what it is though, because there's a huge market for it. You know what I'm saying? And you're talking about like a drug, a pill that's they're highly addictive. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you got prescribed, some Percocets because, you were in a car accident and you hurt your back and, you're going through some pain or whatever. And, you've been taking it for a couple of months. After those couple of months, you get really addicted to that. You know what I'm saying? And now here it is, you know what I'm saying? You're fully recovered, but now you're addicted to these Percocets because, you've been taking it for months and they make you feel so good. You know what I mean? So that's what it is, that these doctors, they're making money off of it. So,
And I think it's amazing because I've taken Percocet before because I had surgery before, and honestly, that to me is such a strong substance that I don't know how people can function and do that on a daily basis. Like, I personally think that it's too much because you don't even feel like you're normal, like you're like in another space mentally. It's terrible, in my opinion. But I know that there's people that they take Percocets on a regular basis.
Yeah, definitely. Percocets, Oxys, you know what I mean? It's like, it's all it is now is just, about getting high now, you know what I mean? It's not that it's treating anything anymore. Now you're just using it to really get high. And that's what it's all about now.
Now, what advice would you give our listeners, Rich, as to how do you notice that you have a problem? Because sometimes people think that they're okay because they're managing and they still go to work and, they're still doing their thing and they're raising their kids. How is it that a person can recognize, hey, I'm developing an addiction? Like, what are the signs that it's like, you know what, I have a problem?
Well, like you just said, most people can function, still go to work and still do the things that they have to do, you know what I mean, to get by or get through the day. And, it's like, whatever drug of choice it is, it doesn't take over, you know what I'm saying? But like I said before, when you wake up every day and you're going to find some way to get high, you know what I mean? Even if you're on the job and you got to go in the bathroom and shoot up, you know what I mean? It's like you're a functional addict, you know what I'm saying? So, you have to recognize that at first, and then there's going to be signs. I mean, sooner or later, you're going to start showing up late or not showing up at all, or, you know what I mean, you're going to realize that your problem is really, it's coming first when it comes to certain things, and you're going to have to deal with that situation.
Okay, and do you recommend if anyone's listening and they're going through something like this, do you recommend that they just like look for help online, or is there like a way that you can start? Because sometimes people are embarrassed, so what would be a good first step?
Yeah, you got to seek help. You got to seek help because, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, there are people who are professionals, treatment counselors and, psychiatrists and, what have you. But, you definitely need to check yourself in a treatment center and get the help you need, from a professional. Some people think that, that they can just stop when they want to. And most people, they can't. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take more than just that willpower or mind power that you think you have. It's going to take more than that. So you really need to seek professional help. I would encourage anybody who, finds themselves addicted to either, drugs or alcohol, to find some kind of help and find some kind of treatment center to help you, go through that.
Well, thank you so much, Rich. We really appreciate you taking the time to have the conversation with us. It was really enriching to everyone. I think that, like we all mentioned, everyone always knows at least one person who has battled with addiction some way or somehow, or even seen a local person that's homeless that's a drug addict. That's normally what you see when you see a homeless person. For the most part, a lot of them have a substance abuse problem. So
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
yeah, so we see it. Even if you don't know someone, you've seen it somehow. So I appreciate you taking the time, to speak with me and Marley about a subject that is taboo, but it really should not be because it's very common. And it doesn't seem like it matters on what your economic class is, because it
No,
seems like poor
doesn't
people, rich
discriminate.
people, famous people
Does
all
not
deal with this.
discriminate.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Does not discriminate. Well, thank you for having me, and it was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure.
All right. We'll speak to you soon, Rich. Bye. Well, you know what? I'm really grateful that Rich, spoke to us. And like I know him personally, so he's a really cool guy. Like he's one of those people that like he's really friendly and accepting to everyone, regardless of where their background or what their situation is. And now that I know what he did professionally, it kind of explains why he's one of
His personality.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like
Yeah.
it shows you when a person kind of understands human behavior and just sees people for their weaknesses, not in a bad way, but in a way of compassion. Like they are good friends. You know what I'm saying? Because they kind of understand you, and I think Rich is a good guy. So I really am glad that, he shared a little bit about himself, and he's a stand-up gentleman for sure.
That's awesome. He sounds like that, and he sounds like a stand-up person. And usually those people who are good people on a regular basis do a really good job in their jobs they do as a professional.
Right.
Right? And they make you feel a little bit more comfortable if you're going to explain things. You're going to share things in those circles that you have for AA and those kind of things. You're more open to it because you can tell he is a genuine person.
Yeah, like a judgment-free person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's what we need more of, especially more men within those social work kind of aspects. There's a lot of women in social work and mental health spaces, but a lot of men are needed out there because a lot of other men need to participate in that as well.
Right, exactly. And also, at the end of the day, people who struggle from mental health they're not very willing to come to terms with that. You know what I'm saying? And there's a bigger issue here. If you're dealing with really, really, really low days, guys, really low days, and you don't want to get up from bed, let's say, you need to start coming to terms with the fact that you might need some help. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, these are the type of conversations that people need to have out loud because no one talks about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, everyone has bad days. Everybody has bad months. Like, it can happen, but it shouldn't happen to the point that, like, you can't function. And like Rich mentioned in the conversation, you should not think of getting high as soon as you wake up. You know?
Oof, no.
That's pretty scary.
That's definitely scary. And I think for us and like Latino communities, Black communities, just areas and spaces of color, we weren't always accepting. I think our parents aren't very accepting of these things, of finding help, getting help, and those kind of things when it comes to like depression and illnesses and, things of mental health. And I'm glad that our generation is way more open to that and accepting of it.
Yeah.
Because we were very much affected by things of the past, like,
or
of previous.
it's like embarrassing to like admit that like one of your kids is suffering from depression. Like they don't want to say that out loud.
Suffering from anything.
Yeah.
I know people, grown adults, and we know what their child, who is an adult like me, is suffering from, but their parents don't use the words to say, my son, my child, my daughter has this and this. They don't tell anyone we need help. Anyone have resources. These kind of things. They don't say that, they're embarrassed to. But we, and this generation, we're well aware of what's happening. Like, you know what I mean? And know how to find those resources now.
Right.
And I think it's just all because of how school has kind of treated us a little bit differently. A lot of kids grew up with ADHD and all these drugs and things like that.
Well, let's not get started in that.
Yeah,
that was just that was an agenda. I'm sorry.
That's an epidemic, but I'm saying that has an effect of everything now. Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why the mental health portion of seeking help and talking to people and resources is important now for our generation. And I think we're going to do a great job passing that on.
Yeah.
to our kids.
Right.
And making sure the help and the direction
And
they go
coming
to
to
is
terms
great.
with the fact that little kids sometimes do get too sad. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
it's not something that happens when you're, 25 after you got your heart broken. No, like children suffer from things like that. Like I even have a friend that her son is beyond the loner. You know how there's
Really?
loner kids? Like this kid doesn't even like to like interact. And I was explaining to her, I'm like, I'm not saying that something's wrong with your son, but I think that you should start paying attention to that. Like it's not like something you should just be like, oh, he's shy. Yeah, shy is one thing, but him to be like against the world is something that you should pay attention to.
Definitely. And I have friends who have started taking their kids to therapy because they themselves have been through situations or matters that they think or feel or something that in the household that may have affected their child. And I thought it was fantastic for if that person as a mother or father couldn't get through their child in conversation, they were aware and fully comprehended the fact that my child won't open to me. Hopefully my child can open to someone else.
Right.
Right? To put that into effect early and to impact that early so that the future is just more brighter for that child and when they grow to teenagers or adults. So mental health, again,
Right.
is very important, folks.
Right.
Messy
Very
Mondays.
And it can avoid these addiction problems because there is a correlation between the two. You know what I'm saying? And seeking some type of validation or seeking some type of escape is normally the trend that I've noticed when people do a lot of drugs. They're trying to escape. So living in reality is always better, even though you may not believe it is.
Yep, very true. On that note, thank you guys for joining us. And thank you for listening to Messy Mondays podcast.
Yeah.
If you want to email us at messymondayspod@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at Messy Mondays Podcast. Find us on Instagram at Messy Mondays Podcast. Find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeart. I don't think we're on Tidal yet. I'm working on that. It's a lot of effort. YouTube. Don't forget the YouTube page. And we're working on something special for YouTube for hopefully sometime next week.
Yeah.
Or the week after. And yeah, anywhere else you can listen to podcasts at.
Yes, and make sure to follow myself at SHOMI_ENT on Instagram and Marley at Love Marley _. Not only can you guys get information through our Messy Mondays Instagram pages, but if you follow me and Marley, you'll get to know us as well. And I'm pretty sure that you guys like all of our little posts and stories, and we always keep you informed on sometimes what the next topic is going to be on the podcast based on some of the things that we're interested in. We also do get communicated with through our personal IGs, so people can try to chime in on our conversations, be guests on the podcast. And we have no problem. We have no hesitation with cross-promoting. We would love for you guys to be a part of the growth and the movement. And if you guys think that there's someone that should be on the podcast, you guys can also recommend them.
Yes. Ooh, I would love recommendations and see what people come up with.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What do you think fits with us? All right. And thank you guys for joining.
Thank you. And thank you for showing up to listen to another episode.
Your girl Marley Mar. Messy Mondays. Your girl Marley.